All right. Welcome to the latest edition of the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith.
Travis Hoig.
Travis, as everyone watching and or listening can hear at this point, we are not joined by Brian tonight, unfortunately. So already off the bat, most of you could probably just check out.
Just turn it off.
Because we all know, Travis, they only come and listen because Brian brings the thunder. We are going to do our best at bringing some thunder. I can promise you this podcast will not be as long as it normally is.
Nor is interesting.
It might be as interesting. Travis, we might not discuss cookies. We might not discuss cereal, but we might discuss other things that are going to be fun and interesting.
We might not discuss soccer at all.
Little bit of housekeeping. This is a FPL America podcast. We will try to keep it on that track. On Fantasy Premier League. Last week, we did not record. Last week, Brian was out of town in Pennsylvania. I, unfortunately, had to drive to Georgia on Tuesday.
Ouch.
I worked Tuesday, left after work, got down to Georgia around 11:30 p.m., talked with my parents for just a little bit, then went to sleep. Woke up Wednesday morning, went to a funeral for one of my good friends growing up. His mom passed on the weekend before. For those of you who have Marco Polo, I'm in a Marco Polo thread with like 4 other friends from high school.
Never even heard of that.
Marco Polo, it's like video.
Is that the sponsor of this segment?
Video texting. Yeah, this segment is
Nice.
sponsored by Marco Polo. So you leave a video message and you can be in a thread, and then everyone can leave video messages. So it's not necessarily a conversation, but it sort of can be. Anyways,
I get the concept. It's interesting.
So we are in a me and 4 other friends are in a Marco Polo thread. Then I was the latest to the group. The other 4 were in the same class from like kindergarten until really first year of college, and then we kind of went our separate ways. I was with the group 4th grade through like our first year of college. So anyways, we go way back. It's pretty cool. We also have close relationships. Anyway, so one of our group's moms died, Jake, and so I went back home to go to the funeral because I believe it's one of my things. Be there for weddings, funerals, graduations. People might not remember the other things in between, but those things, at least for me,
Show up.
Show up. You got to show up. So I showed up, went to the funeral, went out to lunch with some of my a couple of my friends that were there, and then I went back home to my house for about 2 hours, played pickleball at my brother's courts, and then drove back to Virginia. Got back in town around 2 a.m. and because I realized I left intentionally, but I didn't plan it well enough
To be able to get back and record.
Well, it's Atlanta.
Yeah.
If I would have left when I told myself I was going to leave, I was going to hit Atlanta at rush hour, and that's crazy. So at that point, I'm like, might as well. 85,
that's right.
85, 20, and 75. All 3 go through Atlanta, and so it can get congested. So I delayed it, and I got back late. Went to work Thursday and Friday, Saturday, and it's just been a whirlwind. So that's one reason why we didn't pod last week. Now, we could have not podded this week, but I said, Travis,
I gave you an out. I gave you a couple of outs.
We could have not, but I felt like we needed to get in here and do it.
Universe was telling us not to, and you persevered.
And I said, "Universe be damned." And we're gonna do this.
I applaud the commitment.
Hey, listen, I want to touch on something else about my hometown.
Let's hear it.
Let's just take up all the space and talk about me today. So
I mean, we don't have any stats or numbers, so why not?
When I was growing up, we went to a small independent Baptist church. The congregation might have been, if we had 80 to 100 on a Sunday morning, it was a lot, probably. It's probably around there. Well, so it was really small. Everyone knew each other. And there was a guy in our church who I knew him and his wife. Now, granted, I was probably ages, probably 8 till, no, it was 9. 9 until 15, we kind of went to the church. There was a couple there, very super nice couple, and this guy had a business doing like iron fences and like really nice iron gates.
Oh, cool.
Turns out that after we left there, and then I went on to college and started living a life and do other things, I can't remember where I was because this wasn't a staple in our house, but I noticed on Good Morning America, it's John and Tammy McLemore. I'm like, what? So the name of his company was Master Build, that did the iron fences and the iron gates, the really nice iron gates. Well, they started making grills and smokers. Master Built grills and smokers.
Yeah.
We went to church.
I might have owned one of those.
You might have. They are the hottest name in grills across the nation. And it's just crazy how it's blown up. And we went. So also at this small church, and this is why I bring it up. So I don't know. I'm not a huge book reader.
Mark Cuban.
No, not Mark Cuban.
Dang it.
But also a member of this small church was a guy named Alan Levi.
Never heard of him.
He had a brother named Gary who was a missionary. Alan was a lawyer at the time, and then Alan and Gary's parents went there as well. So Alan, I guess at some point, maybe he's been doing it for years. Maybe this is the first one that's hit big, but he's recently, within the last year and a half, written a book called Theo, Theo, like someone's name.
You know what's crazy?
Theo of Golden.
My wife is reading it right now.
Okay.
That's so weird.
So Alan Levi also went to this same church.
I've seen this book, like it's sitting on the counter upstairs.
Family friends of ours, and all of a sudden it's like the #1 seller on Amazon. So Golden is the name of the city in the book, but really it's about my hometown.
So it's basically about you.
It's not about me. I'm pretty sure I'm not in it.
Is Theo David? David of Golden?
No, Theo is a 85-year-old man.
It could be you.
I mean,
you're like this. That's the same age as you are right now.
I'm old, but I'm not that old yet.
I don't know. To hear you earlier,
anyways,
about how you were going to be able to back up a trailer in the dark because you couldn't see without your glasses.
Well, it was rain on the windows. It was dark. My backup trailer lights.
I thought you were going to say my back was bothering me.
No, my backup trailer lights. They're only red. I need white ones back there. Anyways.
I think that's illegal.
I need them. Because it surely helps to back up a trailer in the dark. Anyways, so I say all that to say this. I didn't even know about this book because, again, I'm not a book guy. Until my friends...
I'm glad you clarified that. Our audience really saw you as an avid reader.
One of my friends from our Marco Polo thread that I grew up with, he's a VP at one of the top environmental firms in the Southeast. Okay. And at their corporate retreat that they had, they all were given this book and were asked to read it.
He's like,
I
know that guy.
So he was bringing that up. And then he was saying like, hey, I think it's Columbus, Georgia. And he goes, I think it's our hometown. And I'm like, wait a minute, who wrote? And he said the book was written by Alan Levi. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So anyway, since then, I downloaded it on Audible. That's how I read my books, is through Audible.
Those are air quotes for those listening.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure.
The irony of that is thick.
For sure. So I'm halfway through it, on Audible. And it's interesting, but yeah, then I find out, I think on the radio today, someone mentioning it, that it's the #1 seller on Amazon right now. So good for Alan. It's good about my hometown. And it's like, how did I go to this small little tiny church? And there's like wicked famous people from this little tiny church.
Someday they're going to tell the same story about you.
Hey, maybe I'm next.
There's this snot-nosed little kid.
Yeah.
He was 8. No, he was 9.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, there's a correction there. All right, Travis. Let's get into the weeds here. This is not a David Smith podcast, although it sure started off seeming like it.
You know what? It always does, and that's okay. As long as you didn't bring up basketball, I'm all right.
Well, that's
No,
okay.
that wasn't an invitation.
All right, fine. All right. Look, we've missed the 2 match weeks have passed
Right.
since we've last recorded. So we can maybe touch, if necessary, on 2 weeks ago. This past weekend is probably more pertinent, and then looking into this weekend, I think is where we need to be. Arsenal was drawing games 2 weeks ago to Brentford, so they put out a horrible performance. I don't think it's worth discussing that. Liverpool grinded with
I think
Forest.
we should definitely discuss all the things.
Liverpool grinded with Forest 2 weeks ago.
You don't need to discuss that.
But hey, they got the win. They
did not deserve it.
but they got
it.
They got it. 1-0. Was it Mac Allister that got it? That got a last second goal or something?
Both of them. Yeah, he got one that was disallowed and then got another one that
so
should have probably been disallowed.
So he got 1 goal.
Yeah,
okay.
It's odd.
All right, so coming into this match week, pretty interesting. Look, for most Arsenal fans, I think the sky felt like it was falling after a draw to Wolves and then a draw to Brentford going into the North London derby. Now,
against a very strong and capable and not threatening relegation Tottenham team, right?
Right. Well, Tottenham team that finished in the top 8 in Champions League, but then also in the league.
Full confidence in their manager that has not managed a match yet.
No, I think they're in trouble. Look, I love to hate on Tottenham. I don't like them. I think of all the teams, they did look bad,
especially in the second half. First half they were fine.
But it's just when you see the clips of their coach trying to tell Van de Ven what to do, and then Van de Ven's just ignoring
get higher,
and he just looks over at him and
staring at it, like it's
doesn't
clear,
do anything, like he doesn't understand English.
Yeah. That was really weird.
That's really bad. I don't care. I mean, that's just not being a professional.
I would tend to agree with that.
I was shocked with that.
I'm assuming that's what he was telling him.
No, he was telling him to push higher.
So obviously his back is to the camera. And
the coach's back is to the camera.
His gesticulation is, it appears like he's trying to get Igor Tudor.
Yeah.
And it does appear as though he's telling him to push up. But there was a scenario where he's gesticulating and saying, hey, when this happens, I need you guys to push up.
Right.
Not telling him to push up at that moment, right?
Enough.
But honestly,
it's a bad look.
It's a bad look. Yeah, it's absolutely a bad look.
Look, I do feel a little bit bad for Tottenham because the injuries... The injuries to their players are really bad. And Liverpool's had injuries.
Everybody's had injuries.
Everyone's had injuries.
You were bemoaning yours, and we didn't give you any respite.
Arsenal's deep enough they've been able to weather the storm. But
and part of them are their own making. I mean, Romero wasn't injured.
Well,
He's
they didn't go get anyone.
Insane.
Romero's insane, but Kudus is out. Kulishevsky. Madison's been out like the entire season.
Yeah.
Start going down
and
the
list.
That
hurts. There's no question.
And
those players
made
are
no
quality.
moves in January.
Yeah.
So if
minimal,
If anything, it's on them.
Yeah.
Like you said, and you alluded to, it's kind of on them. I feel a little bad for the fans, but then again, I don't know. There's so many videos out there. Everyone's seen them of asking different fans, who would you rather be? Would you rather be Arsenal not winning anything this year or Tottenham that gets relegated? What would if you had to pick one? And it's I don't know. It's just crazy questions. That's not worth anyone's breath, really.
I was going to say, what kind of choice is that? Would you want to go down to the championship,
right,
or get second place money?
Or just have,
come on,
it's crazy.
It's easy.
This weekend had a bunch of weird results. Not weird, but just interesting. Villa at home draws Leeds 1-1. Chelsea at home draws Burnley 1-1.
That was wild.
City got the win against Newcastle, although Bernardo Silva should have got kicked out for a second yellow.
Probably.
Not even looking for the ball and just literally runs into Dan Burn. And then there was also, and I must have missed this. I wasn't able to watch the entire game. I guess there's some controversy that City pushed one of Newcastle's guys on a set piece into an onside to help their guys be onside, I think. Or was it offside on the kick? I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was something of the sort.
It's a little bit of a stretch,
Okay.
I think. But, obviously, you can make controversy up about just about anything you want to talk about, right? Anybody can challenge a narrative and substitute it with their own, especially when they get, are grabbing screen caps of moments in the game that are completely out of context. So I don't know that I think more was made of it than probably should have been.
Okay.
But also I don't know that City earned that win as much as Newcastle lost it. And the referee did have a little bit of a say in that. I would concede.
It's unfortunate. And then Manchester United kind of continued their hot streak. Getting a win at Everton. It wasn't a huge win,
but Šeško is again on the score sheet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you want to see, a team that wants to be out there. I mean, they've been.
I saw an interview with Dalot that happened within the last week.
They seem like they're fighting, right?
And no, for sure. They're absolutely fighting and playing for Carrick, and I think Carrick has just brought it back simple. It's like, we have good players, so let's put them in the positions that they know they can play, and let's go play football.
And bringing some kids in from the cold, Mainu being one of the big ones.
Yeah.
I just there was a complete lack of desire that was starting to show.
Agree.
And there was
Completely
a lot of criticism coming from the outside about that, specifically from former United players, and there's a lot of them that have a lot of platforms to speak that piece, and they absolutely were. And it seemed like the criticism caused them to crumble more and more. And since Carrick has taken over, they've shown a real desire and fight, and the results have followed. So, you know what? As much as I like to see United struggle, I also can appreciate what it takes to get out of a situation like that. And you know what? Good for them.
It's just crazy because they're now fourth in the table.
Yeah, I hate them, but good for them.
It's also interesting, too. I feel like this, and there's another club that goes through managers that feel like if you can make it there 2 years, you're doing really well. And that's Real Madrid. They go through managers what feels like a lot. And Madrid is the type of team.
Recently.
You're not going to go into Madrid and just change up the formation to a 3-4-3 and say, hey, we're going to do this and that. Madrid's good enough where they go get top players and they play a somewhat basic formation, and they put players and they give them the opportunity to go be themselves. And I feel like that's kind of what United is.
Generally, yeah.
I feel like United will be best if they have a manager who says, we have good players, we're going to play in these positions, and we're just going to try to be better than the other team. They also have the bankroll. United, you can look at what they've spent. They've spent as much or more money probably over the last 10 years as anyone in the league.
Oh, yeah.
And,
other than maybe City, but yeah.
They've struggled with managers, but sometimes the managers are trying to do their thing instead of just doing what Carrick's doing and just putting guys out there and be like, hey, let's go play and let's just be better than them.
Yeah, the difficulty with that angle is, again, to use your Real Madrid analogy or allegory there, is that, Xabi Alonso failed at Real Madrid because he tried to bring his system into Real Madrid and force the players to adapt to it.
Yeah.
The issue with that is that he leaves that club as not necessarily the villain, but as the victim, because the players were bigger than the manager,
right? And
the players had more power than anybody else. And that tends to put you in a difficult position as a club, because then all of a sudden you're giving the players enough power to potentially be bigger than the club.
Well, but they are.
And at Madrid, yes.
At Madrid, yes.
At Madrid, yes.
And what I'm saying is, I feel like there's only a few clubs in the world that would be in that position. Barcelona being another one.
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen this before. This is not a La Liga podcast, but Have you ever seen Barcelona players walking around in Camp Nou
No.
at all? There's a lot of different places where the club crest is on the floor. They won't walk on top of it.
Okay.
The players refuse to step on the crest, even though it's an inlay on the floor.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like there's
That's
such
just out
a
of a respect
there's
for the
a
club.
reverence and a respect for their club that puts them in different place, right? They had all Barcelona had all the financial issues, which is part of the reason why Messi left in the first place.
Right.
Was to bring in a hefty fee to try and help get him out of it, right? Piqué. And a couple of other guys took giant pay cuts to try and make payroll so that they could register players, which they still had issues with. But
Right.
so ultimately, I don't disagree that there are a lot of prima donnas. There's a lot of stuff going on there that is definitely player bigger than club. But as a whole, I definitely would not classify Barcelona as a player before clubs. Real Madrid, absolutely, and that's been the case for a very long time.
It might be just United.
I think United
Madrid.
I think United recently they have had that as a problem, and that was one of the biggest things that Sir Alex Ferguson talks about. I haven't read his biography, but I have read a lot of excerpts from his biography, specifically as it relates to some of the bigger players.
He's no Alan Levi,
and he is no Alan Levi. But one of his biggest thing is like his relationship with David Beckham. As David Beckham started to gain all of the market appeal,
right? Right.
It made Sir Alex Ferguson mad because his fear was his head's going to get too big. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. He's going to think he's bigger than the club. He's going to ask for money. He's going to ask for a favor. He's going to do all these things. And so he intentionally treated him like garbage, basically, to try and humble him.
He Herb Brookston.
And you know what they ended up doing? What ended up happening?
Yeah.
They sold him to freaking Real Madrid during the Galacticos era,
of course
specifically because no player is bigger than the club. There was no reason for them to have to sell him, except for that they didn't want to pay him, and they wanted to prove a point that you can be a good servant of this club, but as soon as you think you're bigger than the club, you're gone.
Yeah.
Right. And I think United, just as a whole, has had a history of that, and most strong clubs typically do. And I think what was happening with Amorim wasn't a matter of the manager thinking he was bigger than the club. The manager was an arm of the club. It was the players thinking that they were bigger than that.
Than the manager,
right? They were bigger than
like you said,
what the ownership and the chief operating whoever is telling them, Woodward is telling them to do, and they're a mess. Don't get me wrong, they're a mess right now. Right, I mean the green and gold movement is huge. Green and gold until the club is sold is the United mantra. Right, so you'll see in the United crowd tons of green and gold. It's because they're protesting. Right, and what did United do? They they started using green kits at one point to try and combat it, and so they were saying, oh, you want green and gold? Okay, we'll sell you a kit that's green and gold.
Wow.
Right? Anyways, all that to say, the club is bigger. The club is bigger than any player or any manager. I think Carrick has definitely righted the ship, brought them down. But I think the players have taken a back seat and said, you know what? We're not going to fight this anymore. We're going to survive. He's brought them together and said, okay, that situation is over, and now we're going to go back to the basics, like you said. Yeah. Right? But it's a survival mode more so than it is a strategy for the future, is my opinion.
Okay. No, you're probably right. You're probably dead on with that. Regardless, at this point, number one, they're fantasy relevant, right?
Fourth place is big.
Fourth. Look, they were
huge.
They haven't been fourth place what feels like in a while, and I'm not talking about in the beginning of the season.
And it's not like Liverpool when Liverpool was up there because everybody else was sucking. And so they were there in spite of themselves. United has earned that position through solid play and getting points when everybody else isn't.
They have gone on a massive run, and then Chelsea has dropped points over the last 2 weeks.
That Burnley draw was just brutal. A dagger, man.
That's absolutely brutal. So, anyways, it's just interesting how the top 4 to 5 race, I guess the top 5 race now. We've been for years, it's been top 4, but the EPL has been so strong over the last few years. Their
Yeah.
Champions League coefficient has gained them an extra spot, and the expansion, I'm guessing, Travis, had
Yeah,
something
a
to do
little
with
bit
that
of
as
both.
well.
Yeah.
So, anyway, well, like I said, Villa drew, City won. Arsenal currently holding a 6-point lead with a game in hand, with City having a game in hand. Arsenal's played one extra game. That was the Wolves game that they drew.
Is it 6 or is it 5 right now?
It's 6. It's 5. It's 5. It's 5.
It's
It's 5.
5.
In my face, it's 5.
No. I mean, that's a big deal.
It's
Right.
now it's all within reach. So if City win that extra game that
Then
they
it's
have,
2.
now it's 2, and they have a head-to-head.
So that's where I was. That's where
technically City
can overtake
technically-
because a head-to-head is a 6-pointer, right?
That's correct.
Right. It's 3 you get and 3 they don't.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
That's a big 5 is big because it's not a matter of okay we go head to head and if I win we're on par. It's we go head to head and I win, I overtake you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is critical.
So and look, Arsenal's put themselves in this position. I mean, I guess look, it's not going to be easy.
Well,
if they can do it, it's not going to be easy.
It takes a little bit of the control that you had out of your hands. Obviously, you still have control because you can win that head to head, right? But that's going to be a fun match. Is that a home match or an away match for you guys?
It is an away match
At the Etihad,
yeah.
which is not a terrible place to go. I mean, it's not easy,
It's
but
not
by
like
any
it's
stretch.
not like
but,
it's Anfield,
but it's not.
that's for
But it's not
sure.
playing at home, right?
No, it's not. So that match is coming up in, Travis, help me out here, late March, I think. Late March, early April. I think it's
is
early April.
April 18th.
Mid-April. Okay.
April 18th.
Mid-April.
So you've got 1, 2,
We will-
3,
so what's
4,
interesting,
5 match weeks.
We will have
one of those
played
being a
them
blank.
at least once before then in the Carabao Cup final.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
coming up.
So let me ask you this: Would you rather win a trophy, Carabao Cup, or win that match, not knowing if you're going to win the league?
Ooh, boy, I haven't heard, out of all the questions I've heard, I haven't heard that one. I would rather win that match
And give up the trophy
and give up the
for
Carabao
a chance
Cup
to
trophy.
finally solidify
Yeah, but
something other than
Yeah,
second
but
place.
I think that Carabao Cup game is massively important to Arsenal because everyone keeps saying the mantra is you haven't won anything. And if they win it, then people are just going to say, oh, it's just a Carabao Cup.
Yeah, that's probably
But-
fair. I mean, that wouldn't probably be the thing
Yeah.
out of my mouth, but the biggest issue is
what
that you
Arsenal
just
do
really
have,
haven't.
what they do have on the team,
Was it 21?
some of the guys who have been with
19?
Arsenal for like 5-6 years haven't won anything since the FA Cup in Arteta's first season. But
That's
you
what it
have
was. What year was that?
You have
19?
you have Jesus who has won Champions League and Premier League titles with City, or I'm sorry, not Champions League, Premier League titles with City. Havertz, who has won the league and Champions League with Chelsea, and Gyökeres has not won in the Premier League, but
In another league.
he
yeah,
led his Sporting to 2 back-to-back. What's the Portuguese league name? I can't think of it. Anyways, the Portuguese league. He led Sporting to back-to-back.
Liga Portuguesa.
Okay, there we go.
I just made that up. That's not real.
Oh, well, you had
It
me.
sounded right.
You had me. Okay. Anyway, so they have, and there's other guys who have been on other teams as they won the FA Cup last year. Interesting, and we can start getting into the actual fantasy things that we need to discuss here. As everyone's probably like, we're listening for that, and you're not even talking about that.
The league is called the Primera Liga.
Okay.
So
Thank you for that.
not that interesting. Sorry.
No, that absolutely is interesting. So going into, oh man, I lost
Match week 28.
Match week 28. I lost my train of thought here. Oh, this is what I thought was interesting. I saw a guy on Twitter now
X.
give this scenario, and I watched the Tottenham Arsenal game. I had it on delay, so I was silent.
I had committed to
I was-
texting you
I
live
was
updates just because I
ready.
knew you didn't want them, but then I didn't even watch it. I got busy, so
Okay,
we
perfect.
had a scrimmage way across town. So
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for that.
3 hours away.
Because your snarkiness would have
It
overwhelmed.
would have been so great.
Yeah, it would
Like,
not have been good.
I would have just texted you every time Sokka
Right.
was on the ground or something.
Sure.
Which would have been
But
a lot of texts.
This guy's analysis was interesting. So what he noticed in this game is Arsenal for pretty much the last 2 years have been rotating in one of their back four into when they have possession of the ball into the midfield, the inverted wing back.
The
Or not
John
wing
Stones.
back.
The John Stones.
Or it's been Timber, at times it's been Ben White, it's been Calafiori. Miles Skelly's done it.
I still think that Arteta pulled that from Zinchenko at
Right.
City.
Probably,
right?
yeah.
Right?
Because Zinchenko
And
would do
then-
that at City. So
And John Stones later, but John Stones did it better than most. Better than I would say than even like Trent Alexander-Arnold in a couple of those seasons where he was inverting like that.
No,
I think John Stones was way more effective. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, so what this guy noticed was that Arsenal didn't do that in this Tottenham game. And now Eze started so in the midfield it was Eze, Rice, and Zubamendi. And what he noticed was they didn't invert, and so they played a flat four in the back. And what it did was it opened up more space in the midfield, and therefore giving more space for Eze to operate, technically opening up more lanes for Gyökeres and other things. And what do you know? Eze gets 2 goals and Gyökeres gets 2 goals. Again, I'm not
Interesting.
saying this is a strong Tottenham team, but what I'm saying was it was just an interesting
Tottenham's
take.
defense is really poor.
I know.
I think that was the highlight of that was just how poor they were.
Well, again, I'm not saying Arsenal was pretty good, and Tottenham was bad.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was an interesting take. I didn't notice that watching the game, and then when he pointed it out and he had some clips that he showed, I'm like,
really interesting.
oh, wow, okay. And I guess it would make sense, especially if with the personnel of Eze in there playing the 10 instead of Odegaard, because the way they play that position is absolutely completely different. And most people can remember, because it wasn't that long ago, when Eze was playing with Mateta and Gyökeres were they're kind of a similar style striker, where they're not lightning fast, but they're both really strong. They're strong on the ball and look for lanes to run into. And I just thought that everything okay?
Yeah, it's good.
And
Sorry.
anyway, so I just thought that was an interesting take, that I wonder if Arteta's not trying to figure out a way to, maybe we were actually having too much possession. We have too many people in the midfield. Let's pull one out, open up some space, and see what can be done with that. I just thought that was a pretty interesting take. Now, for fantasy purposes here, you can look at Gyökeres. I think he's got 7 out of 7 goals in his last 8 games in all competitions. Okay, so obviously that's not just a Premier League. That is, obviously, it's all competitions. You look at his last, 13, 2 games, and then it was 2 against Wolves, 1 against Brentford, and then 12 against Sunderland, 7 against Leeds. So in his last 5 matches, he's given you returns in 3 of them. Now, that is better. And so if this is something that Arsenal has been doing of recent, and maybe we just haven't noticed, to open up more space that he can operate into, I just thought that was interesting. Look, early on, people owned Gyökeres, and then I was on the pod saying, hey, everyone should stop and wait until they get it figured out. And I just wonder, he's the type of player that needs to be fed. He's not right. He's not.
He relies on quality service, similar to what Holland does.
Yeah.
The different
Holland needs the exact same thing.
Very similar.
Holland's faster. Holland's a better striker. I'm not saying that they're the same.
Holland's thinner as well.
He's still strong though. He's a little thinner.
It's mostly just a jab at Gyökeres' barrel chest.
He's a strong dude. He doesn't miss. He
give it to you.
doesn't miss chest day
Or meals.
or meals. So I just thought that was interesting, because Gyökeres hasn't been fantasy relevant in a long time, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If they're changing up something in the midfield to open up space, Odegaard still isn't completely healthy yet. Eze Eze, it seems like he can only score against Spurs, and they're not going to be playing Spurs again the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that means Eze isn't going to score again. But if they're changing things and he's going to get a run of starts, which it seems like is the case, and that's the thing, we don't know, but it seems like that could be the case. If Eze gets a run of starts here, he might become relevant as well, especially if they're changing things to try to cater to him and Gyökeres. And so I just thought that was interesting in bringing that up.
So Eze has scored 7 goals this season.
And 5 of them against
Five
Tottenham.
of them are against Tottenham.
Yeah. Well, and I think
I just read that
Travis,
and I was like, holy crap.
I think the other two were for Palace. I don't think the other one was for
that is exactly right.
Arsenal. So
No.
or maybe it was in different competitions. I think he only has 5 Premier League goals for Arsenal. Wait a minute, he's been with him the whole season. He hasn't played with Palace this season.
Oh my gosh.
What am I thinking? That's right, because it was a summer transfer. So I'm losing my mind here. All right. Anyways, moving on.
I'm trying to find the list.
In discussing, Manchester United assets, Šeško did get another goal. He's still not starting, and I think, until he's starting, at least
minutes
for me,
are going to be an issue.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, it's not worth it.
And there's other United assets that you can pull in, primarily being Fernandez, especially as long as he keeps his own
Cunha,
penalties.
and Mbumo. And currently, I have Harry Maguire, but at some point that might be going out. I think I did that for certain reasons on my wild card and then bench boost, and of course it completely backfired on my face, as my bench boost did.
Sounds
because
like a bad idea.
The teams that I was hoping that surely had great matchups that would get clean sheets.
Yeah.
Do you think that happened, Travis?
They did
Absolutely not. So, anyways,
You ended up with a fine score this week, though, didn't you?
no, I was completely average this week. I ended up with a 45, and that is not what you want.
Dude, I'd have taken a 45. Brian and I think both. Yeah, Brian and I. Nope. Brian did all right. League Billy and I. League Billy's leading our league, and he and I shared scores. He's leading me by 100 points, but we both got 36s.
Okay,
Which is terrible.
Yeah, that's not it.
Terrible.
Points end up being tough this week unless you've owned Nico O'Reilly and have started him over the last few weeks. That one guy himself can be a differential.
Well, or
as he has only owned 8.4%.
or you played Henderson,
Right.
16 points,
Right.
Which League Jeff, shout out, he was sadly disappointed by his Tottenham North London Derby
I
loss,
was
but
not
he bench boost this week, and his bench boost did include Henderson as well as Dallo. 82 points.
Unbelievable.
That's a good return.
Score. I'm glad I
82
did not
points.
see that. I'm glad you brought that up. League Jeff, well, I might have to send you a text tomorrow and say, hey, bud, don't do that anymore. Sorry.
He's gaining on me.
That's one way to have a brighter weekend when Spurs just get hammered and you turn into 82 and the average is 45. So kudos to you, League Jeff. Look, I was going to go to Chelsea here, and I figured I might as well mention this out. Top transfers out this week, leading the league of all players is Enzo, and then Chalobah, and then Joao Pedro. So Chelsea people are bailing on Chelsea, Travis. What say you?
I just think everybody expected them to do better in this run. When you look up at matchups against Leeds and Burnley, especially, just looking at those, you'd expect them to.
Those are.
And obviously they drew both of them. I think it says less about Chelsea and more about Leeds and Burnley, frankly.
Okay.
Because Leeds has been in strong form. They struggled there.
In the words of Brian, they're the league's chaos creator.
Yeah. And Burnley again is a chaotic in the sense that they can be very tough to beat. They are a team of triers, and they will chase every ball until the final whistle.
Yeah.
And so that's what ended up getting them the point. Was that they chased everything until the final whistle, and Chelsea didn't, which Liverpool's been on the receiving side of that. Against Chelsea, especially with Esteval's last-second goal. All that to say, I think it's just.
You think it's warranted though?
I think it's a situation where they're nearing the end of that purple patch, to use a Brianism. That now they've got to play Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle, Everton away, and then City. That gets real nasty real fast.
Stretch.
Right?
It's a tougher
and
stretch.
so it's as much about fixtures as it is about disappointment.
Now, what about Palmer? It seems like Palmer doesn't make the list of the top transfers, at least in the top 6, and or top 5. What do you think about?
I just don't think enough people went to him.
Yeah,
I think that's part of the reason why. And the ones that did were
Palmer looks like he's about 11 down.
Yeah,
transfers out.
I don't know. Honestly, the Chelsea transfers don't surprise me. You know what the transfer that does surprise me, that I'm wondering if you have any insight on? Jurrien Timber. There's a ton of people transferring Jurrien Timber out. Why?
Well, I would say why too. Although I've owned Gabriel and Raya for a while since I've wild carded, and maybe even before then they might have been in my team. But Arsenal has not been. It's interesting. I don't know. I feel like Travis. It seems like there's been a little bit of a shift, especially if Arsenal's been doing this longer than what this last guy realized, where they're not inverting as much, and they're creating more open space in the midfield. They're saying, we're going to risk giving up some possession in order to create some space, and then their scoring's gone up. Arsenal's scoring's gone up, but they've also, it seems like over their last multiple results, they're leaking a goal here and there. And whether it's the last second to, was it Wolves? Wolves got one. Yeah, they were up 2-1 and last second to Wolves. And then
no clean sheets in the last 3.
Yeah.
Brentford, Wolves, Tottenham, which is, I guess, not great. But he's also not giving you any major returns. He did get an assist. Is that an assist? That is an assist, right?
I mean, if you're going to
He got an assist at Tottenham. But
I would just say, who are you going to? I mean, you're still owning a guy who's got the best defense in the league.
He only played 56 minutes. Did he get pulled for a good reason?
He just got subbed. He got subbed for.
Didn't even go 60, so he ended up with a 3 with an assist.
For Mascara.
That's wild.
It could be also maybe that people are looking ahead for the Champions League and they just figure there's going to be possibly rotation.
Well, that's a good transition. Obviously, we need to talk about Champions League and the implications of Champions League. On rotation, Champions League matches begin on the 10th of March. Is that 10th of March?
Yep, you said 10th of March, and then also, and this is the first time ever for any league, but granted, this is the new expanded version of group play and everything. This is the second year that they've done this. They did it last year because Liverpool finished first in the group.
You're right.
Arsenal finished first in the group this year.
They'll be knocked out in the round of 16.
Maybe. I hope not.
Against PSG, probably.
I hope not. Well,
I don't know. Who can you draw?
We draw either Leverkusen or Atalanta, I think.
Not terrible.
No. If only there was a way.
I know Liverpool's draws are Atletico Madrid and Galatasaray.
You'd rather not play Galatasaray because they already beat you once. They beat you at their place. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. And Victor Osimhen's already come out and said he doesn't want to play us because it was too tough. So, and he's the one who scored against us. So, all that to say, I hate playing Atletico. Honestly, Atletico.
It's not a great. It's not.
They're just.
They're not great.
They're just.
Yeah, but they're not that good this year.
They're the worst, man. Everything about them rubs me the wrong way.
I agree.
They have lost a couple of guys that really really grated on me. But Simeone is just a kind of a tool. He's not a bad coach, but his style is just kind of trashy. I don't care for it, and they're tough to beat. and that's part of the reason why I don't like them. So credit to them that they are tough to beat, but I don't want to play Atletico. I would take Galatasaray.
Well, what I was going to say is the reason why we even need to mention it is because there's 6 Premier League teams that are in the final 16 in the round of 16, the now knockout stages for Champions League. It's Tottenham, Chelsea, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Manchester United, Arsenal, and Newcastle.
Yeah.
And so, wait a minute, Villa's in that, right? Am I crazy? What? I tell you what in the world? I can't remember anything anymore. All right, no, it's Tottenham, Newcastle, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. That's what it is.
Correct.
Chelsea got in. That's right. I was forgetting.
Chelsea finished
Chelsea
6th.
won
They needed
Europa.
to finish in top 8. City finished at 8 and therefore didn't have to. So, but yeah, those. So you got Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea, City in the Champions League.
City get Bodo Glimt or Madrid. Real, that is. Liverpool, you already mentioned it. Chelsea either get Newcastle or PSG, and I was right, Arsenal get Leverkusen or Atalanta.
Yeah.
When Arsenal have already played Atalanta once and beat them in the Champions League. But anyway, so we bring that up because that's a lot of fantasy players that very possibly could be rotated now in these knockout stages.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know how to prepare for that because it's so many players from those teams. I can tell you that I can look at and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 players from those teams, those 6 teams right now. So that's a lot. And I don't even know how to prepare for that. I really
and
don't.
that's another question. I mean, just from an Arsenal standpoint, because obviously you guys are in a decent position. That has been weakened over the last couple of weeks.
And all those teams, by the way, except for Tottenham, are fighting for either a title
or a position
top 4 or 5.
So my question is: are you guys going to go for Champions League? Or are you going to prioritize the league? Are you going to try and have your cake and eat it too? Because when was the last time you guys won Champions League?
Never.
Yeah.
That was really you're so stupid.
Sorry.
So annoying.
Sorry.
It's so annoying.
Sorry,
the Invincibles lost, I believe, to Barcelona that year in the Champions League.
You were good when a lot of other Spanish teams were good. There was a couple of teams that were good during that period too.
Look,
Ajax was really good then too.
I'm pretty sure that Barcelona team back then
was stacked.
Was super stacked. It was maybe one of the best teams around. They were so good. Was Pep managing them then? Maybe. I don't remember.
Know. He might have been playing for them. Legitimately, he might have been playing for them. Anyways, all that to say, do you think that the lineups will favor Champions League or Premier League, or do you think that they're going to try and field strong sides both ways? Right?
I think they're going to field strong sides both ways. The good thing that they've had is because of injuries, they've played a lot of different guys, but the team's deep, so the results haven't really suffered much. And so,
do you trust Odegaard as your deepness? As part of your depth?
I think the team has actually been better. He got injured early on in the season. Maybe it was last season. And there was a stretch I thought he was about 2 games.
Surgery, too.
There was 2 games I thought he looked good. But I don't think he's looked great at all this season. And
because you're going to have to tap into guys like that.
Well,
if you're going to play both.
It's just, what happens when Havertz and Eze and Odegaard are all right there and they're all trying to play the 10, right?
Is Havertz fine?
He's getting close. He is not significantly injured. He is probably.
I don't know that he's relevant because now that we know that he's fragile still, it's probably not a good idea to
maybe
go with him or stay with him.
Right, maybe. So anyways, your question. All right, let's get back to your question. I think that Arsenal will be, for the most part, at this stage, at least in the round of 16. Not that these games are less important. I think that they're going to continue. I think they're going to run the guys dry until they get hurt, and then just sub in when necessary. But
Atalanta and Leverkusen are reasonable to. Can Hincapié play against Leverkusen?
Oh yeah, he's bought.
Oh, he is purchased.
He's purchased.
I thought he was a loan for some reason.
Maybe, I don't know. Now you got me thinking about that. No, while you're looking that up, I do think though that they're going to play. And by the way, Hincapié has been really good recently. And Miles Skelly's probably thinking, what do I have to do to be able to play? Probably not make boneheaded decisions and get easy cards. I'll start there, Miles. But Hincapié has been really, really good at left back, even though they kind of got him to back up Saliba at the left center back. So I do think, though, that if you have Arsenal assets, and I don't even know who you own in the midfield right now, and honestly, I think Gyökeres might not be a bad start as he's starting, I think, kind of figure it out with his run of goals in games. But I'm going to continue to own Raya and Gabriel, and I think they'll continue to be starting in the Premier League. I think the Premier League is the number one goal, and Champions League at this point is somewhat secondary. That's a really long answer getting back to what you said, to what your question was.
I mean, I think that's fair. I think you are deeper. I do worry a little bit about how effective that depth will be, but I don't know that has a ton of bearing on anything other than the fact that we're not going to know who to choose from a lot of these clubs. To that end, I did look up Hincapié is on loan currently with an option to buy. £45 million is the agreement. And based on Champions League rules, he is eligible to play against his parent club should they be drawn against Leverkusen.
Okay.
Which is surprising and good to know, but probably not important or relevant to anything that we have that we are going on.
I think
now.
I think the bigger question is, what does City do? I think they're not as deep
as they have been. I agree with that.
So I think, what does City do in that situation? Look,
they're more decimated with injuries
than
than
they
we give
have
them credit for.
I'm not saying that they don't have good players. Obviously, they can run great lineups out there. But anyways, it's just a thought there.
Well, we've ruminated for 52 minutes here.
That's surprising.
Which
all right,
I didn't know that we could do.
Any other glimpses of people you want to talk about? Because we could move right to night moves. Well, because I did make 2 transfers this week.
I just really want to get to bed. I'm tired.
Well, we can do that. We can do that.
No, but the only reason I bring that up is I've only got about 20 minutes of memory card space before we will come to an untimely end.
Well, I'm going to quick go over the top transfers in this week. Virgil tops.
Yeah,
most
really.
Number
really high.
What do you think about that?
I don't think good things about that.
Okay.
West Ham is on a tear and looks more dangerous than they have all season, I think, pretty much. And so, playing them at Anfield is not as comfortable as it probably should be.
Fine.
But then we got Wolves and Tottenham, which are exactly who you want to play.
Yeah.
Wolves at Molineux is not going to be super crazy. I don't think. Tottenham at Anfield is, again, not going to be super crazy.
Is there another defender, though, that's worth owning other than Virgil?
No, probably not.
Okay.
Konate looked really good against.
Is it
against
reliability
Forest,
of who's going to start, or is it just performance?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both.
Okay. All right.
It's not like we have anybody else to play center back if we had to, but it really just comes down to who's going to be fit and be playing.
Okay.
And whose minutes are not going to get managed. And I could see a world in which, if the fixtures piled up, we throw Gravenberch or Joe Gomez in at center back in a pinch, and that would be at the expense of Konate. And then on the outside, Frimpong is back in training, so he could come back in the right back slot, which doesn't really matter because it's been Szoboszlai or Curtis Jones or fill in the blank, right? With Connor Bradley still out and Frimpong out until now, and even then, I don't know if he's going to get a lot of minutes. Left back is a toss-up. Kirkes has not been terrible, but he's also been not getting a lot of minutes. So if you're
He's
going
the
to
most
target
reliable person,
other than maybe Allison,
okay,
because they will probably face a decent number of shots even against that
schedule.
That schedule. So Allison probably isn't a terrible pickup, but Virgil's the only defender that I would consider if you are trying to capitalize on that Wolves, Tottenham, West Ham, Green matchups.
Right, Green. Next guy is O'Reilly, transferred in the second most to Virgil, then Thiago, then Szoboszlai, then Semenyo. I'm just surprised that many people still don't own Semenyo, as he is 52 now, almost 53% owned. Szoboszlai owned 8.2%.
I guess that makes sense.
That probably does make sense. He's been Liverpool's best player all season. Where would you be without Szoboszlai?
Relegated?
I don't think he's that expensive. Yeah, he's a 6'8", so that's not. I mean, that's about the same price as it is. It's exactly the same price as Enzo. So people selling Enzo, buying Szoboszlai, sure seems like that makes sense to me. And again, I was just surprised with Semenyo being on the list. That I just figured that many people already owned him. I capitulated, Travis, and we can move right into night moves here. I did exactly what I guess everyone else is doing. I did it before I realized everyone else is doing it. I noticed this. I owned Enzo Fernandez, brought him in on my wild card.
Okay.
The problem with that is that was also right when Cole Palmer came back.
Okay.
And since Cole Palmer has come back, Enzo has turned in 3 2s in a row and has not been nearly in such an attacking
and he's not
threat
on set pieces anymore.
Because now Cold is.
Yeah.
And so Cold Palmer coming back has turned Enzo's fantasy value ice cold, so it seems. Now, I'm sure he'll come out and score against Arsenal this weekend.
It definitely is a shift with Rose Senior as well, their new manager. It definitely seems that Enzo is maybe not getting in the same positions that he was before and not playing the same role, if that makes sense. Definitely not as effective, clearly.
So, now, aren't you wondering who I got for Enzo?
No, I'm going to guess that it was...
You will not guess it.
Morgan Rogers.
Nope.
Who was it?
I told you won't guess it. I could give you 10 guesses. I don't think you'd guess it. I brought in Alex Scott from Bournemouth.
Oh, you talked about him the other day.
I did. I brought him up. He again, and look, he's not going to be knocking the doors down, but that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the last 7 weeks. He's given you at least 4 points.
And that's what you want, at least 4 points.
At least 4. Look, if he's my cheapest midfielder, which
he
is,
I was it was a little tongue in cheek, but still,
I know,
yeah,
at
I
minimum,
hear you.
He's got 5 twice, and he's also given you a 13. So Alex Scott, for whatever reason, continues to be in the mix or at least giving you decent points from Bournemouth. So Enzo out, Scott in.
I like it.
And then after I continue to see Nico O'Reilly play in the midfield, this pod has always talked about, as most pods probably, we love players playing more forward, defenders playing. Who was it? Who was the guy for Sheffield? Was it
Shada?
No, it was a long time ago.
Oh, Lundstrom.
Lundstrom, that was the fantasy darling, who was a defender who ended up playing winger for them, and or midfield. But Nico O'Reilly, I brought in Nico O'Reilly and got rid of Chalobah, as Chelsea seems to be very leaky in the goals recently, especially when they couldn't make it through that really good stretch. I brought him in for that good stretch, Travis, and what do you think happened?
It went cold.
Completely went cold. So those were my 2 moves. I did not take a hit. I had 2 points in the bank, or 2 transfers in the bank. My captain this week, I think I'm doing Semenyo at Leeds.
Semenyo at Leeds.
I don't love an away captain. I don't love an away captain, but Semenyo recently has kind of been on a run, at least in the last 4 weeks, where he'll give you a return, then he won't, then he'll give you a return, and then he won't. And so I'm hoping that he will give me a return home or at Leeds. Bruno Fernandes home to Palace is my vice captain.
Okay.
So those are any night moves for you?
I probably will make some transfers. I've got 4 technically right now stored
like
up to try and clean
wild
up.
card.
I want to
save it one more week.
Yeah, so I want to try and get set up so that I will be okay for the blank game week.
Okay, that's interesting.
I do still have my free hit chip, so I can do a couple things if I needed to free hit on that blank week. I could, but I'd like to be in a situation where I don't have to.
Okay,
to survive. So we'll take a look at that. But right now, the only thing I am relatively sure of is I think I'm going to captain Rodgers at Wolves.
Rodgers at Wolves.
Yeah, I think that's the play.
On paper, that definitely seems to be a good move. I do not own Rodgers. That would definitely be in consideration if I did.
Yeah, he's got back-to-back 2s, which I don't love, but it's against Leeds and Brighton.
Yeah.
But I just think Wolves is just bad enough that it's going to be okay.
I'm going to run through my team real quick just in case people have forgotten and/or if they care, which I doubt they do. Raya, Gabriel, Maguire, O'Reilly, defense. Midfield, Semenyo, Bruno Fernandes. Currently have Verts in the lineup, Travis. Is he going to play?
No. Unlikely to play.
I love that. Mbumo, and then Scott, and then Ekitike, and I still got to start Joao Pedro, although who knows? I have Tarkowski on the bench. My other 2 players on the bench are Havertz and Mukiele. Mukiele picked up an injury. He's out for a couple weeks. Havertz is not back yet, but I am not going to take a hit. So anyways, I don't love Everton at Newcastle. I might, if Verts doesn't play, Tarkowski will be subbed in anyways. And I definitely don't love Joao Pedro against Arsenal, but I might just have to run him out there anyways.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Anyway, so that's kind of what I got going on. Travis, anything else?
No, hopefully Brian will be back next time. There have been 0 numbers given.
Well, we have some. It's just been less.
It just makes it very clear just how much we are riding on Brian's coattails. So safe returns for Brian next week.
That's right.
Because we know he's listening. Obviously, he listens every week.
He listens all the time. Exactly. All right, Travis. Well done. We did it, and we still did it underneath the memory card storage
barely
limit. For the FPL America podcast, this is David Smith. Until next time.